The loneliest I have ever been was not during the crisis, it was after. When the hard part was finally over. When I stopped drinking, I figured the hardest part would be giving up the drink. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. But one of the hardest parts was the silence that came after. Almost everyone I knew, drinking was the one thing we had in common. So when I put it down, most of them were just gone. I also lost friends because of my divorce on top of it. The room that used to be full was suddenly empty, and that is a specific kind of loneliness, the kind that hits hard after 50.
For me, the hardest part was the leaving and trying to make it on my own. My abusive ex was a lead singer in a band, so I was always out among his fans, but I was lonely even then. When I left, I lost the whole world, and I moved across the country to a town where Terry was the only person I knew. At first, I was just trying to survive, but the loneliness caught up with me. And when I finally reached out, people did not want to hear what I had been through. So I stopped talking about it. And that made me feel even lonelier, like no one really cared.
Today, we're going to talk about loneliness, what actually helps, and what quietly makes it worse. Because most of the advice out there was written for people in their 20s. Join a club, put yourself out there, download a dating app. That is not what we're going to tell you. Here's something I wish someone had told me. Losing your circle of friends will happen. There was one group I held on to, my dog walking friends, and I'm grateful for them to this day. But with the rest, things changed. Some I stepped back from on purpose because I needed to. Others, I stepped back from me. They just did not want to stay friends with the version of me that does not want to party anymore. You change your life for the better, and some people leave anyway.
I know that feeling. When people found out where I'd moved to town, some of them just didn't want nothing to do with me.
And when you are over 50 and worn down, you start fearing this is permanent. That fear makes you rush to fill the loneliness, and rushing is a mistake.
That was me. I rushed to fill the loneliness, and that's exactly how I ended up with my ex in the first place. I looked for love in all the wrong places just to keep from being alone.
Here's what we learned. Loneliness is not about how many people are nearby. It is about wanting to connect with someone that cares. For a while, I was the only one who knew Donna's whole story. You do not need a crowd, just one person who knows what you've been through.
Terry was the one person for me, but finding even one is not easy, and building from there takes a plan. We'll show you the 3 strategies that worked for us, how to stop filling the silence with the wrong people, how to build one connection, and how to be alone without being lonely.
So how do you actually start dealing with loneliness after 50? Strategy 1. Don't fill the silence with the wrong people. When the quiet gets heavy, your instinct is to fill it with anyone. Someone from your old life who is never good for you, a relationship that moves too fast because being alone feels worse, going back to something you already walked away from just because it's familiar.
I know what that's like, and reaching for just anyone only makes it worse.
In recovery, I learned this the hard way. The people who drain you or who do not respect your boundaries will leave you lonelier than the silence ever did. Setting a boundary is not cruel. It's how you make room for the right people to find you.
I learned that myself. A few years ago, I decided to set a hard boundary with a friend, and it ended the friendship. I felt awful. I thought it was over for good. But that space gave both of us room. She reflected on her part, and I reflected on mine. We were honest with each other, agreed to respect our boundaries, and forgave each other. We came back closer than before. A boundary does not necessarily mean the end. Sometimes it's the only thing that actually lets a real friendship survive.
So strategy 1 is simple, but it is not easy. When the loneliness hits, do not reach for the first thing that offers comfort, whether that is a person or something else. Sit with it, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Let yourself feel it without trying to fix it that second, because the decisions you make from loneliness are often the ones you end up regretting.
Strategy 2, build one real connection before you try to build a whole circle. One person. Like I said, Terry was mine.
And that's the trick, especially if you are not someone who walks up and makes friends easily. Do not go looking for friends. Go looking for something you already care about and keep showing up to it. Maybe that's a class or a book club, a volunteer job, a support group, or your church. When you show up to the same thing again and again, The people there get familiar, and familiar is where a real connection starts. You are not forcing small talk. You already have something in common before anyone says a word.
That is how it worked for me. I always felt like making friends was harder for me than for Terry, since I tend to be more introverted than him. So even showing up was hard. But I kept going. Church was the first place I showed up. When I was ready to build more, I did things I already loved. I joined a hiking group because I wanted to get back to hiking. And I joined a cycling club that rides to raise funds for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Do what you love and let people find you. We rode with that cycling group for 7 years. Some awesome friendships came from it, and none of it was fast. It was one ride, one conversation, and one person at a time.
So do not try to build a whole social life overnight. Start with one person and let it grow from there. These things start small.
Now the last piece is learning to be alone without being lonely. This one sounds like giving up on people, but it is not giving up at all. There's a real difference between solitude and isolation. Isolation is when you stop reaching out and the loneliness closes in. Solitude is when being alone feels like peace. The goal is to reach a place where being by yourself is no longer a crisis.
For me, being by myself was never the hard part. The hard part was joining on conversations and letting people get to know the real me. What helps is trying to let go of what they think and just be myself.
And once you are okay on your own, the way you connect with people changes. You are not chasing anymore. You are choosing. You are not keeping someone around just so you are not alone. You want them there because you like them. That is the kind of relationship worth building when you are starting over.
So here are the 3 strategies we talked about. 1, do not fill the silence with the wrong people. 2, build one real connection before you try for a whole circle. 3, learn to be alone without being lonely.
If you're ready for a clear next step, we've got something for you. It's free and it's right here.
And we put out a new video every Sunday. So subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.
Keep going. We've got this.